Major Mohammed Ali Shah also joins me on the broadcast. And Major Mohammed Ali, you've worked, and as have the other panelists on the panel joining me on the broadcast, directly with these junior commanders, commissioned and non-commissioned. The very fact, for the very first time, that this is happening in decades and decades, what's the message being sent at the ground level?
Firstly, Megha, the junior commanders play a very important role because they are the ones on ground, who are deployed there. And there are junior commanders like the JCOs, the NCOs. They give very good inputs regarding digging of trenches because they are the ones who would be digging a trench on ground, for example. And there are a lot of reports. For example, you've seen a couple of years back also, there's a new trend where a Jawan records a video and makes it viral. Why? Because he would be having a grouse against some officer, so he would try to make it viral. Here now it's a very good thing, because the Prime Minister will get first-hand account on the welfare, the morale of the troops, and the small-time tactics, in the sense that, mini tactics, like not the macro level, but micro level tactics, which is very, very important. So the message that is being sent across is that, of course, a very good sign of any military leader to look down at his lowest level command and ensure that the men are being looked after. Like in the army, they tell us, know your men better than their own mothers and care for them even more. So the Prime Minister, being the good leader that he is a very, very good step, very commendable, and this thing has never taken place ever. So I think it's a move which will really make a vast difference to the country's defense forces.
I think you make an absolutely very important, crucial point. This would ensure any sort of limitations, problems that are being faced on the ground by the Jawans, because they are the ones who are fighting on the front. And those are the people we should be extremely thankful to. Prime Minister making an extremely strong, important point with regards to inculcating them. Major Mohammed Ali, I want to understand, this is perhaps the first step in the right direction. What more can be done to bring that feeling of bonhomie, to bring that feeling of inclusion amongst all these junior Jawans, these junior commanders who work day in and day night? They are sacrificing their family life, they are away from their kin, they are not attending their birthdays, weddings, birth ceremonies of their children. They are literally laying down their lives on the ground for us, so that our borders are secure and we can sleep in peace. What more can be done? If you could, bring about maybe 4 to 5 of those pointers, and that could be suggested to the requisite parties over here and bring about that change.
Most certainly, Megha. When I was a platoon commander, young lieutenant, barely in my early 20s, I made sure that the Jawans get leave on time. That they get, if they ask for 4 days leave, we give them 8 days leave. Second, we made sure that the welfare is looked after, which means in a cold climate area in Jammu Kashmir, the men get hot water to have a bath with. Then Napoleon Bonaparte once rightly said, the army marches on its stomach. So we would ensure that our men get hot meals to eat. So when the morale, the welfare of the troops was looked after, everything fell in its place. And apart from fighting, we also won all the troop games, be it basketball, football, because the morale of the men was high. I'll tell you a quick story in half a minute only. In the year 2003, when I was deployed at the line of control, one of our men, not our men, at a neighboring post, he got shot up by the enemy fire. The commanding officer of that battalion came to look at the Jawan, and the Jawan immediately sprung up in action. Though he was wounded, he saluted the commanding officer and said, "Jai Sir!" Now that was the morale, that was the leadership, that was what the effect of the commanding officer came up into the Jawan. Same thing when the Prime Minister went to Kalwan. After the clashes, we saw the morale of the men of our troops was high up. So our military is not lacking anywhere in terms of equipment, in terms of bravado, in terms of bravery, in terms of our troops, in terms of our training. Everything is perfect. This was a point which was needed to be addressed. I'll tell you, when I was in ADC, AD camp, I was a young captain at that time. I served as ADC to a Lieutenant General directly reporting to him, who later on became the Deputy Chief of the Army Staff. One thing I learned from him, which was always look after the lowest level of the staff. You look after them, they will look after you. And that is exactly the example that the Prime Minister Modi is making, and I think it's a brilliant way forward. And the only thing that stops us behind is we our own selves. And the second thing is getting started. So I think we made a brilliant start, and this is going to lead to further great things in future.
Absolutely. You make a strong point over there, and a stronger speech. It's definitely going to boost the morale of the Jawans if they are going ahead and watching us over here. But Major General Sehgal, how is that move going to move forward, keeping in mind there is at this point of time one unified man who is going ahead and controlling all the three services?
All modern and major armies have already gone in for theaterization. This will promote greater amount of trust, greater amount of mutual faith, greater amount of cohesion, greater amount of synergy, and getting the best out of the minimal resources that we have. In the next century, 21st century warfare, where artificial intelligence, cyber warfare, space-based weapon systems are going to play a major role, it is very essential that synergies of all these services are well phased, so as to get the maximum out of the minimum resources that you got.
Remember what we are talking about, require three principles. That is freedom of navigation, that rule-based international order, and maintaining territorial integrity and sovereignty of all nations, including smaller island nations. Now the Peninsular Command will play a major role in case, we have to interact the Quad. So this will be another game changer. And then you will find that we will be focusing on the cyber warfare, space warfare, artificial intelligence. Future war will be fought. Before a bullet has been fired, you will be fighting on a cyber and a space. And artificial intelligence will be a game changer.
Right, absolutely. You made those points, and those were those pertinent points. When Major Mohammed Ali Shah, I also want to discuss with you with regards to the synergy that has been brought about with the theaterization within our armed forces, the tri-services. But then when we go ahead and interact with armed forces of our allied nations, be it Australia, be it Japan, United States, there have been a number of the exercises that take place. The Malabar exercise is something that comes off my head of. And we also had very, very recently the one that had been conducted between Japan and India as well on the shores of Andaman and Nicobar. How important then it becomes for India to put the best foot forward, and how important does it become for the unified theatre command to bring about the prowess and showcase the prowess that India holds?
Because you rightly brought out the Malabar exercise. Like for example, the formation of Quad, which is the America, Japan, Australia and India. They will train their fighter pilots in the Anderson Air Force Base in America. That is a great sign against China, that is, because China is feeling threatened. They are really under pressure. Let them be under pressure. So all these signs. Now, another thing we have, one more advantage is our robot soldiers. They are specialized in winter warfare, whereas neither Pakistan nor China particularly, they are soft. They are not as hardy as us. Absolutely. So when we do theaterization of modern warfare, last year, the Chief of Defence Services, General Bipin Rawat, had spoken about the air defence and the maritime. And now it has come the time to actually implement it. So definitely, when we all fight a battle together, for example, I'll give you a small example again. I'll quickly wind up in 1971, when we won the battle against Pakistan, the war. It was a combined victory of the army and the air force. The R-23 Punjab Battalion men were stuck in the trenches when the armored brigade of the Pakistan, they had come and they stopped for barbed wire. A Hunter aircraft which couldn't fly at night. But then, when the first break of the daylight, they took off and they bombarded the Pakistani tanks. And that is a time, it was a combined victory. Similarly, war was won together with the army and the air force help. This time, we are going to stand tall with our military, army, navy, air force. Also, our border guards, our paramilitary, they are going to be there, the backup there. So certainly, I can see the Indian Defence Forces become the number one. There is 100%, I can vouch with conviction, that Indian Defence Forces are heading that way to be the number one military. It already is, I would say. But to be renowned by the world, to be recognized by them, it is heading to be the number one military in the world.
Number one military in the world.